to our request of who would be showing up today. Are we having some technical issues? I'm not hearing anything on my end.
I can hear you.
I can hear you, Tim.
Okay, there we go.
All right, we are live, so we can start anytime.
So whenever you're ready, Mayor,
So
since you're the chair.
yes, and so I'm happy to call the May 11th meeting of the Carroll County Administrative Transportation Committee to order. And looking at the people on the call, it appears that Marcia and I may be and Marcia, I assume that you're representing a committee member, and we may be the only ones here representing Carroll County.
I'm here representing NDOT.
Okay, so it is pretty clear that we do not have a quorum for this meeting. We basically can't approve minutes, and happy to move on to traffic counts when you're ready.
Okay. So first, I will cover the traffic counts funding. So quick bit of history. In calendar year 2020, we had planned to take traffic counts to cover CAFOs, confined agricultural feeding operations, and we scheduled the count locations for those. COVID happened, and we had to adjust our count taking schedule. So we took 19 counts in the first part of the calendar year during the 2019 fiscal year. And then we took the remaining 46 counts in the second half of the calendar year in the 2020 fiscal year. As a result of that, this calendar year, we took 19 counts so far. And unfortunately, because we didn't get our money spent before, we weren't allowed to take that money over to the next fiscal year because it wasn't spent. So we do not get the remaining 46 counts this calendar year. We were only able to take 19. So for next calendar year, we will be back up to our standard 65 counts total, the regular schedule. So a shame, but COVID messed up a lot of things. What can you do? So that is the funding for traffic counts. So did anyone have any questions about that? Sounds like a no. All right, so I'll cover the calendar year 21 count results. So as I just mentioned, we took 19 counts this year. The locations of these counts partially followed our normal approach of a 3-year cycle. Every year we take the same count locations on a 3-year cycle. And the majority of the counts this year were those same counts. You can see on the spreadsheet the station numbers. So all the counts that were part of that normal cycle, map numbers 54 and lower, were those counts. The ones with station numbers greater than 9,000 are the new stations we created for this year. And we picked these based on some areas that we had never taken counts before, for which we had no data at all, or areas that we hadn't counted for 10 years at least. So only very old data available. And looking at the data, we did get some valuable data out of these. Particularly of interest, I think, is map number 63, station 9998. You can see in the FC column here, functional class. This is a functional class 6 road. So it is larger than a 7, which is, a small neighborhood road. And it had an annual average daily traffic AADT of 38, which is very low for something that's supposed to be used a bit more than a small neighborhood road. So interesting to know. All the rest of these counts, the data is a little bit lower, of course, than we might expect. Some COVID effects still happening, but the numbers are basically back up to normal otherwise. I think that about covers it for these. I guess I'll note that this year we didn't take any counts in the cities. This was all rural for this year in the 3-year cycle. And most of the counts were focused up in the northern half of the county.
Mm-hmm.
So only being able to take 19 was not ideal, but we did prepare for this eventuality. We picked out kind of the most noteworthy or the most important counts that we could pick for the 19 we were able to do. So the old data will carry us through for the 46 that we didn't manage to take this year. And we'll renew that in another 3 years, hopefully. Well, we should, yes. Okay, so any questions about the 21 counts?
This isn't a question per se, but just as a news item, at our previous meeting, the technical committee meeting, Cameron Yates mentioned that he had some sites that he was interested in getting some counts for next year that would correspond with some of the projects that you guys are working on up there to try to develop some new areas. So we might be seeing a little bit of difference in the counts next year than we would have from 3 years prior to that. But that's okay. That's why we review the counts every year, because there are times when it's important to get some fresh data in certain areas for projects like this. So we will certainly keep you updated of that when we are doing the planning for next year's counts.
Yep, thank you, Tim. Okay, it sounds like there's no more questions on the counts. Are you ready to move on to crash data here? I'll take silence as a yes. Okay. Prefer an affirmative yes, but that's okay also. So crash data. This is a report that Area Plan prepares for Carroll County every 3 years. So the data included is 3 years of crash data. So for this year's report, it is 2017 through 2019 crash data. On the first, and I should also say, so these are just some example maps. Once we have the report compiled and reviewed, we'll send that whole report on to you. So these are just the highlights, basically. So the first map here shows you the counts by year individually. So you can see where most of the crashes are happening. It's commonly in the well-populated towns and along the highways because, of course, there is more traffic to have more crashes, unsurprising. The next map, well, the next couple of maps, we have some zoomed in towns, so you can see where crashes are happening within each town. So the first map is Delphi. And in these maps, I've included all crash data. We are able to filter the crash data by a lot of different pieces of data, but one of those that I want to point out for this map especially is public versus private. So some crashes happen on private property, such as the school. You can see a whole bunch of dots there where the the school parking lot is. And, you know, for those, in terms of our road infrastructure, there's not a lot we can do to reduce crashes like those, but, you know, seeing that, oh, there are a lot of crashes happening in this parking lot, it's interesting. So yeah, we have Delphi. The next map is Flora. And I think I learned in the previous meeting that Burlington and Camden are both called Burlington. Whoops. So I'll correct that. And then this year I've also included a Monticello area zoomed in map, which previously we hadn't done. Of course, Monticello is not within Carroll County, the incorporated town, but you know, there's a fair amount of density there compared to a lot of the rest of the county. So I thought it was worth looking at in a little more detail. So we have that map as well for you here. The next map, we have crashes by primary factor. So when we're reviewing all of the crash data from the police, we will, well, we go through every single crash report, we read the narrative, we look at all the data that's available, and we also, you know, correct any problems, such as if they're located incorrectly, geographically speaking. And we also add some of our own data, you know, such as distance to intersection. This map, however, is data that's straight available to us from the crash reports. So the primary factor in a crash is part of that report. And in this map, we have the top 5 most common primary factors in crashes. So animal, object, and roadway, ran off road right, unsafe backing, failure to yield right-of-way, and other, driver. I will note on this that ran off road right is kind of a catch-all category functionally in the reporting software. Once the reporting software is updated from Aries 5 to Aries 6, which hopefully will happen at some point ever, they're working hard on it. So once that's updated, I think that ran off road category might be eliminated, and we will therefore have some more specific primary factor data in those reports. This is what we have for these reporting years. So after this map, I have the table of every single primary factor and how many crashes were associated with that primary factor. So you can see some of these are very uncommon: steering failure, tow hitch failure, very uncommon primary factors in crashes. Note that came up during the last meeting: speed too fast for weather conditions. There were 66 number of crashes. There are a number of these that overlap a bit. There's also an unsafe speed primary factor, which, you know, is independent of weather condition there. So if you're looking at speed of all varieties, you would have to add up those two numbers, 66 and 39. And some of these other ones you could also kind of combine into a different category, but these are the most precise categories that are available to us. So following this table, we have another map. We have the crashes by winter service conditions. And these are only 2 types of conditions: ice or snow slush on the road. This map does not include rain or slick surfaces during winter months. This is only the road condition itself. And after that, so we have crashes by number of injuries. I've broken this up into 3 bins: accidents with only 1 person being injured, those with 2 people being injured, and those with 3 or more. And we can see that the most crashes have only 1 person being injured, which is better clearly than the other situations. So that's good. The next map, we have crashes by fatality. And in the 3-year period that we were doing this report on, there were 9 fatality crashes. And then after that, we have just a whole bunch of tables here of various data that is, I think, pretty pertinent and They're just all here for your perusal. So, whether crashes are rural or urban, what the weather conditions are during a crash, the surface conditions, amount of sunlight, and that's it. So there will be more detail in the full report, but these are kind of the highlights, as it were. Are there any questions about the crash data here or the crash reports?
So Aria, on the prior chart that showed the conditions, yeah, up one more there. There. So roadway surface condition, do we know what, I mean, is that the quality or of the road itself, or is that also used to designate, wet surfaces and things of that sort? Do we know?
Yeah, so the roadway surface condition, that's going to cover things such as gravel. I noted a fair number of drivers were surprised by a transition from paved to gravel. It'll be if there's potholes, there's those sorts of things. There's also holes or ruts in surface category, which could be used, but yeah, it kind of depends on the precise situation. Roadway surface condition and speed too fast for weather conditions, could be kind of correlated or similar in that kind of situation. I think if it's like a wet pavement situation, then too fast for weather conditions probably will be what was reported as the primary factor in a crash. But, it's going to depend on the precise situations of any given crash, what the officer deemed to be the primary factor. So roadway surface condition could include weather conditions, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess I should mention any of these could contain any of the other factors as well. These are only the primary factor. So other factors such as DUIs or that sort of thing could also be included in here as not a primary factor, but also a contributing factor to crash. All right, any other questions? Sounds like no. All right.
Okay, so then our first item under the other business, which I will be covering, would be Title VI. So this is something that's primarily a Tippecanoe County effort, but there is a component of it that relates to our work in Carroll County. So what this is anytime we do planning work, if a citizen feels that they are being unfairly treated in that planning work, or that they didn't get an opportunity to participate in the plan fairly based on some factors such as their age or their race or gender or anything along those lines, economic status, then they could file a complaint. So we've had the process for that outlined for Tippecanoe County for a while, but this is something we were working with Paul Coates on before he retired. And we have confirmed that Kent Schumacher will be the person to review any potential complaints that would happen about our planning work as they relate to potential discrimination in Carroll County. So at the last meeting, he requested that we would send him just what the procedure is that we use in Tippecanoe County so that he could be aware of that in case anything comes up in Carroll County. So I will be doing that. Additionally, I did want to mention that for all the years that we've been working with you guys up in Carroll County from this grant that we use, we have not received any complaints about our work, but we know that because we're going to start to work on the first long-range transportation plan for you guys, that there is a potential opportunity for complaints, so to speak. So we want to make sure that we have a process in place just in case someone wants to file a complaint. So we are expecting this to be adopted within the next couple months. here in Tippecanoe County as a official plan. So things are moving along pretty well with that plan. And I want to thank everyone up there in Carroll County for their help. Mayor Whirling, I know I talked to you about it as well as Kent. So I just want to take this time to thank you guys for working with us on that and helping us iron out those details. I know sometimes it takes a little bit of going back and forth. And so thank you for your help with that. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Are there any, are there any questions about that item?
No.
Okay, so then the next item would be federal funding and project tracking. So this is something that Kent had asked me about, and at our last meeting, I asked Marcia to kind of just give an overview of the process so that we could have it kind of documented during the public meeting. So Marcia, could I have you kind of repeat that again, just for the benefit of this committee?
Sure, let me verbatim though. Okay, so for Carroll County, anyone in the county, cities, towns, and the county themselves would apply for federal funds through our NOFA, which we usually have once a year. There's normally towards the end of the year, normally around November. We do post that on our website, and a GovDelivery notification goes out to anyone that is signed up for GovDelivery when the NOFA comes out. Lets everybody know when it is that they can apply for projects. The cities, towns, counties can apply for Group 4 funding, bridge funding, funding for trails, and most of the money is 80-20. And they can apply up during the call. Like I said, I don't know for sure yet if there will be a call this year. I haven't gotten anything on that, but normally it's not until like November anyway. So the notification will go out when we're going to have a call, and anybody that's in the county can apply.
Okay.
All right, thank you again for providing that, Marcia. We do appreciate having the official word from NDOT. Always good to get that. So one other thing I did want to mention is that if federal funding is used, there does need to be a quarterly progress report submitted to NDOT. The last time that this happened with Carroll County was during the Stellar Communities program.
Right.
And so at that time we were doing quarterly progress reports for those projects. And we would, our role in this is the Tippecanoe County's Area Plan Commission would be to just review reports that are submitted to NDOT and ask any questions that we might have about project progress and making sure that milestones are met and so on. We do the same thing for Tippecanoe County as well, so we're pretty familiar with how that process works. We're kind of just there to make sure that the information is available publicly, really, is what we're doing. Most of the meat and potatoes of the work goes between NDOT and then whoever is filing the report, which would be whoever applied for the funding. So that would be something that we will be happy to help you guys with if and when you choose to apply for some federal funding.
Great.
Okay, so then our next item would be the 18-month letting list. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here on the screen so that we can display it. Okay, so the first several projects, the first 5 of them, which are all bundled together, are some bridge projects, and the letting date for that slid back to February of 2022 from December of 2021. We're not quite sure why that happened. So Marcia, at our last meeting, kindly offered to check in with the project manager to see if there was some more information available about what caused that change in letting date. You know, obviously we know that that sort of thing does happen and there are many reasons why it could happen. So just wanted to check in on that. So we'll hopefully hear about that. And once we get some more information, it will be disseminated to members of this committee as well as the technical committee. So the next several projects all remained the same. So no changes from previous meeting. And then there are also several new projects that are appearing. So these are a bunch of bridge projects, most of which are on State Road 25, although there is one on State Road 75. So those are going to be starting in summer of 2022. So looks like you guys got a lot of bridge work
Yes.
up there in Carroll County, which is good. We want to make sure that those are in good condition, of course. So then the last thing would be some bid letting results. So the first one to report would be this bundle of projects on US 421, which was awarded to RAM Construction Services. It did come in under engineer's estimate, and it's estimated to be completed on July 2nd of this year. So that's good. And then the second one was this project, State Road 218, is another bridge project, an arch reconstruction or repair project, awarded to Garlow Construction. And that one was over the engineer's estimate. However, it's a small enough dollar amount that NDOT decided that it was acceptable to still allow this project to be let. And it is estimated to be completed in August 27th of 2021. So it looks like things are progressing pretty well with regards to this. Are there any further questions about any of this information?
Not on the bid letting. I did have a question about in general, what the schedule will be for the comprehensive transportation plan and how that will get kicked off, et cetera.
Yep, that's a great question. So we'll kind of pivot a little bit for that. So at our last meeting afterwards, I had talked to both Kent and Cameron about doing kind of a kickoff meeting for that, where we could, try to figure out who needs to do what to get that underway. We know there's going to have to especially be some data sharing back and forth between you guys in our office. So Mayor, would you like to be included on that? I'm happy to include you if you would like to be part of that meeting.
Yes, I think I would. Thank you.
Okay, I will make sure that you are on the list. I'll be sending out an email pretty soon, and we'll try to see when people are available. Get that scheduled. Okay, yes. So you should see something within the next month or so about that, I think.
And just another, more of an update, I think. We are proceeding in Delphi with establishing a couple of additional four-way stops at roadways that have really bad sight lines. And one of those is on Washington Street at Monroe. And we have talked, previously about the traffic counts on this road, in particular, being up considerably. Well, I think that they are up from prior counts. We know that there is a lot more truck traffic on that section of roadway. We have a couple of logistic companies, warehouse companies that have reopened on North Washington Street, and so they are tending to come directly through town on Washington Street. So we've talked in the past about trying to get together to discuss a truck route, and I know Kent and I have talked about this, and he's willing to help with that as well. But just trying to get schedules coordinated and have all of us have time to get together on that. We'd really like to be able to prohibit, except for local delivery, heavy truck traffic going directly through the Courthouse Square area and the portions of the city that, during Stellar were made very pedestrian friendly. And, that's heavy trucks and ankle parking don't blend real well.
Right. Yeah. Certainly, whenever you and Ken are at a point when you feel like you can meet, we'd be happy to meet about that as well. So yeah, just let us know. You have our contact info. So yeah, we're happy to help with that in any way that we can.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I did have one other item that did not make the agenda, but I did want to mention that sometimes it seems like it's a little challenging for us to make sure that our contact information for everyone on this committee is up to date. And sometimes if it's not, that does lead to people not being able to attend. And so we get into situations like we have today where we aren't able to have a quorum. Now, of course, today it didn't matter too much, but with us getting ready to start the long-range transportation plan, and as well as some of this discussion we've had about federal funding, we want to make sure that if we would need to take actions on important items like that, that we would be able to have a quorum. So my request would be, Mayor, that maybe if I could just check with you to make sure that we have the right contact information for people, first of all, and then if we do have that and some of these people are just busy with their daily lives, if we could perhaps get them to find some proxies that they could appoint that could attend this meeting so that we can make sure to have a quorum when it's needed for important action items. So could I be in touch with you about that as well?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be happy to reach out to those on the list. And our council appointee to the committee has a job that takes him out of town quite a bit now. So I'll reach out to him and see if he would like to have the council replace him to make sure that we have someone who can attend.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'll be in touch about that as well. Thank you. Okay, are there any other items that we need to bring up for anyone on the committee? Okay, so at the end of the meeting, we traditionally leave some time for the stream to catch up, just in case anyone wants to make any comments. So I think during that time, we would like to take the opportunity to welcome our executive director, David Hiddle. This is his first meeting on this committee. Sally, who had been our executive director for many years, has retired. Last time we met, that was her last meeting. So now this is David's first meeting. So we're very excited to continue to have him working with us. So David, would you like to say anything?
Thank you so much, and good to meet you, Ms. Mayor. If only virtually. Hopefully soon we'll be having these meetings face to face.
That would be wonderful, and welcome. How many weeks have you been on the job now?
Just about 2 months.
Great. Well, we're certainly happy to have you here and look forward to working with you.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any comments on YouTube here.
Yeah, likewise, I'm not seeing anything on Facebook either. So I think we should be able to adjourn without objection then, since we don't have a official.
This is Marcy. I object. I just got an email from Jackie about the 40607 project on the letting list. And
okay.
Yeah, so she's giving us the reason why it moved. And she said that they need right-of-way on several of the projects. So looks like that's the main reason, is they have right-of-way on it that they still need to get, and they can't get it in time. Looks like the ones that I think that are on your list are staying in, will be in the February 22 letting. They do have some that are moving out to September. This is a very, very large project with multiple, it's a big bundle apparently. They're taking some of them off though and moving them to another contract. So some of them will still remain on the February letting. But it is, the reason they moved out there is because of right-of-way issues that they're having.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you for that update. It's interesting. You know, there's always a million reasons why these things can happen, and right-of-way is certainly one of them.
yes, right-of-way is usually the big one. So
Mhm.
there's the answer on that. So now I don't object anymore. We can adjourn if you'd like. Thank you.
So without objection, we're adjourned at 3:35. Thank you
All
all.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
This conference is no longer being